I'm going to take us on a tour of Portland area sports card shops. I'm going to go to 3 of them. I'm going to go to Super Sports Cards up in Vancouver. I'm going to go to the Sports Room in Beaverton, and then Hoodies in Tigard. And I'm starting here at a local Portland food cart pod. I thought it was appropriate. I'm going to eat some lunch, and then I'll show you all 3 sports card shops, and you'll see the pros and cons of going to each. Hey, here I am at Super Sports Cards in Vancouver, also known as the Couve or Vantucky. Vancouver gets a reputation of being kind of Portland's younger brother, kind of like not as fancy, a little bit less expensive to live in. But the sports cards are great. I make the half-hour, 45-minute drive up here quite often because of this store. So I'll go inside and show you around. One thing I like about this place is they have all these little years of different cards. They label them really good. They do have a whole Pokemon section over that way if that's your thing. And then they've got sports cards over here. And then they've got their teams by name in baseball, football, and basketball. And then over here, I love that they also have some years, vintage baseball and football. And then there's your NFL teams by years. And then over here they have some vintage packs of various stuff. So they've got a lot of things. They do have current stuff over here. And then they've got just a ton of stuff to look at and go through. Cards I was looking for from the 60 Fleer set. And then I'm going to look through here. Well-loved vintage cards, 20 cents each. Another box they found, 25-cent cards. They're kind of mixed, but quite a few football in there and some basketball that I'm looking at. And then they've got all these random little boxes that you can look through. One thing I like is they have the year labeled and then what's in there on a lot of them. Not all of them, like this one is just plain old soccer or WWE or UFC or whatever, but a lot of them will show what exactly is in there. Number 1 is complete, and I'm going to show you my haul from Super Sports Cards in Vancouver. This is one that was on my list that I have not been able to find on eBay. It's like $15 or something. So this is a Doug Flutie Sports Illustrated for Kids card for the Toronto Argonauts. And then this is a couple Ted Marchibroda cards. He was an offensive coordinator for the Bills. This is when he played for the Steelers in the 50s. And another one of Marchibroda. And then this was on my list as well. This is a Richie Lucas 1960 Fleer card for the Bills. And then there was some not on my list that I also picked up, a 1960 Frank Tripucka. And then a little stack of random guys, and then I always like to get a pack or two, so I got a couple Michigan State University trading cards. These could be any sport, but I have found some very hard to find guys in those kind of packs. So all told, I spent less than $20, and I got quite a few cards. I did get quite a few from the 20-cent area and then the 25-cent area, just to have interesting cards. And then I'm a Blazer fan also, so this was in the 25-cent area of Gary Payton Jr. Stop number 2, this is the Sports Room. This is in Beaverton, Oregon, just a little bit west of Portland. And they do have a vintage area, and then they've got quite a bit. We'll see when you get in. So here's the vintage football area. They've got one's priced, and then down here they have sorted by year. Some albums as well. So that's the football, and then basketball they have similar. And then baseball. And then they do have by team over here. And then they've got a lot of supplies over in this area. But yeah, they've got quite a lot of different stuff. This is their combat sports area. They have a Pokemon area over there. You know, they have quite a bit of different stuff for whatever you might be looking for. They actually have more hockey than most places. They have a whole hockey section. So lots of stuff, lots of the new stuff as well as memorabilia. Good vintage cards here. Here's a 64 John Haydall. There's a Chuck Bednarik. Quite a few Hall of Famers and everything in here. And Yale Larry, Gino Marchetti. And the awesome Lamar McCann. Jumping, weirdest card ever. So they do have some single boxes. This is quarter box, and then they have 50 cents on up of various sports. Okay, at stop 2, I didn't get anything vintage really, but they had a bunch of these Prism cards for 25 Prism cards for 25 cents, so I did get a big stack of those. I love a card with people in the uniform they aren't expected to be in, like this Dorsett in his Broncos. I got an Eric Moulds. Instead of being in my Bills, he's in the Texans uniform. And even though it's a 25 and remembering his whole career, which was mostly in Buffalo, they put him in the Texans uniform, just like Dorsett over there. So I did get a big stack of those, 25 cents each, and focused on teams I like, or I also give cards away to my students when they do a good job as a reward. So I got some Seahawks cards, some Blazers cards, things that will appeal to my students. Oh, one more cool thing about that store, they have $2 grab bags, which, have maybe a mixed group of players. They are separated by sport, but, for $2, you get a bunch of cards. Most places around here are $5, and one is $10 for a grab bag like this. So again, just random cards that I can put in a prize box, or maybe I'll get somebody that I need for my Blazers box or my NBA box. Here we are at stop number 3. This is Hoodies, and this is in Tiger. This is right near Washington Square Mall, and it's a little smaller, but it's still got a lot of stock. And I'll go in here if I don't want to drive quite as far. It's a little closer to my home and just a little more centralized. All right, so here's inside of Hoodies. They got a lot of new product here. They got them sorted in their cases by sport. And then they do have something I like over here. They have singles sorted by team, all the different, basketball, football, baseball. And then they have a bunch of singles sorted by year and brand and everything. But yeah, quite a few good vintage things in the case. And then I do like to paw through, some of these boxes. It would take forever to go through all of them, but they've got quite a bit. And then they do have a Pokemon section as well, as most card shops do nowadays. And then they have a dedicated Blazer section, which I'll show you in just a second. All right, so here's inside of Hoodies. They got a lot of new product here. They got them sorted in their cases by sport. And then they do have something I like over here. They have singles sorted by team, all the different, best. So these guys have grab bags as well. They're $5, but they do promise an auto or a relic if you're into such things. I am not, but some people are. So that's a nice thick grab bag of cards for $5. A little slice of their Blazer section. They've got about 4 boxes like this with singles, and then they'll even have some. Yep, they've got all these. And then they've got 2 cases like this separated by player. So if you're looking for a certain player or even a certain year, they have that. So if you're looking Blazers, this is a really good place to come. And I tend to like the older stuff, so I found a few older Blazer cards mixed in with some of the newer stuff. So for those of you who like vintage stuff, these are the Star cards, 83 and 84. They have a lot of Blazers here. I also saw some other Star cards, but those are a little bit rare, so they've got a whole section of those. And one other thing about Hoodies is they've got a lot more like gear, like t-shirts. They've got a lot of like framed jerseys and all that. And then they've got things like trash cans and whatnot. So if you're looking more for stuff, they've got quite a lot of that. Okay, this is my final show and tell here. I've got a couple of AJ McCarron cards I picked up. He was on the Bills for a minute, but never during the regular season, just for preseason, and they got rid of him in lieu of Nate Peterman. I think McCarron would have been better. But I got one for myself and then one for my brother, because my brother's a big fan of the UFL, and McCarron was a star for the Battlehawks, and now I believe he's a coach. Then I got a few Blazer cards for like a quarter, a newer CJ McCollum, a newer Damian Lillard. And then I got I try to keep up with the Blazers' new players. So I got this guy who's on the Blazers this year. And then I got some more vintage one, Franz Bread, Jim Paxson. And then 1980-81 Team Leaders card that I didn't have. So that's my whole haul. And hope you enjoyed seeing all the shops and all the cards I got today. And let me know if you have any questions in the comments.